I would say when there was a really tense moment in a room and everybody had this awkward silence was when there was this heckler that stood up. It was really weird because when I was in the audience, this guy walked past me and he started shouting. He was in this manic state where he said, "This thing is demonic and the only person that we should listen to is Jesus," or something, right? And he was just storming out. And I was like, what is up with this guy? So today is the last day of Funnel Hacking Live 2023, and I wanted to shoot this video while it's fresh, talking about my top 10 takeaways being at this 7th Funnel Hacking Live back-to-back every single year. That's right. So ever since Funnel Hacking Live launched in the first year, which is 2016, that was the only one that I ever missed. And from 2017 onwards, every single year I've been attending Funnel Hacking Live, which makes this year the 7th year that I'm here as an attendee. And I've been coming back to this event, not just an attendee, but I spoke in 2018 and 2021. So needless to say, I'm a big fan of Russell, his work, the community. And today I wanted to shoot this somewhat raw video back in my room over here, showing you, while this thing's still fresh, what my top 10 takeaway things are, and hopefully that will help you. It kind of summarizes the entire 4-day experience into this bite-sized piece that hopefully helps you out as well. The first thing that I learned, I would say, is not from the speakers, but rather a realization that I had. And the realization is that, number one, we truly only stop learning when we tell ourselves, "I know." You see, even before attending this event, I told myself, you know what, I've attended Funnel Hacking Live every single year. And there was a part of me that went, I already know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is there's going to be different funnel types. Russell's going to talk about personal development. There's going to be some sort of rah-rah. There's going to be traffic strategies. There's going to be an amazing pitch. I know exactly what's going to happen. Each day I know that day one's going to have this specific offer. Day two is going to be an upgrade to the ascension in their membership. Day three is going to be high ticket. I know, right? And I thought to myself, is there really anything else that I could get? Now, after attending this event, I can tell you that I have a ton of pages of notes, but not just notes, but 36 things, actionable things that I just had in here, of the things that I could potentially be doing that I know would make a difference in what it is that I'm doing for my offers, funnels, traffic, and my community. So, number one, I was wrong in the sense that whenever we tell ourselves, "I know," that's when we stop learning. But rather, the right question to ask is, are we living it? Are we getting the result that we want in that thing? And chances are there's always something, sometimes just one person, one deal, one insight, one strategy that is utilized well that makes all the difference for us. So that's number one for me, right? So despite 7 years, chances are, there's always something that we can get. The second thing is, it's not about what we learn in a specific event, training, or mastermind, but it's just being clear on what we're doing about it and our ability to sort, sift, and separate the things that is nice to have in our business versus the thing that's a priority that needs to be done now. See, what I have in here, in this entire list of my to-do list of the 36 things, instantly what I did was I went through the entire list just 2 hours before shooting this video, and I asked myself for each individual item whether I should actually do it or whether I should find somebody in the team that does it, the who that knows the how, and I instantly delegated it to a team member or to a specific department. So whether it's social media, whether it's traffic, whether it's a support team, whether it's the funnel building team, so that it initiates the process of getting it done. Right? Many times, I think what happens is when a business owner, entrepreneur attends some sort of event or training, they kind of vomit out, all the different ideas that, oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And that's when everybody is in this state of overwhelm. But your ability to list down a to-do list, but most importantly, prioritizing into what should be done, and handing it off to somebody else is way more important, okay? And that brings us to number three. Number three, I would say that the emphasis of if you're not building a recurring, you're not building a business. And I think that this realization is not something new for me, but it's the reinforcement of that guy to pretty much sit down next to him and basically, speak to him like a man rather than just disrupting the entire audience. And the guy didn't want to do that, and ultimately they still kind of kicked him out. But I think it is the ability to handle things head on rather than avoiding it. And because it was done so well, I remember this person next to me thinking that, hey, for all you know, that guy was planted in there, right? Which obviously he wasn't, but that's how good it was handled. Now, what's the moral of the story over here? You tell me. Ultimately, I think that what I learned personally as a speaker is just reinforcing the fact that whenever something like that, a difficult thing happens, it is so much easier to avoid it, but truly when you face it head on, that's when you'll have the audience rooting for you, cheering for you, because that's the hard thing to do. Number 5 is about building a movement. And I gotta admit, this is something that I've never really been my strength. I've always seen myself as a good trainer, a good coach, a teacher, but building a movement and getting people to be a part of like a tribe and something has never really been my thing. But one of my big perspectives and shifts from here is, this was from Brad and Ryan, where they say movement requires leaders and to step up. And I think what I said is that to create change for someone, you could teach them all the tactics and the strategies and the steps, but if they don't have that identity shift, there's not going to be that much of a change. And the example I gave was somebody who's trying to quit smoking. If somebody's trying to quit smoking, there's a big difference when somebody says, oh no, I don't want a cigarette, I'm trying to quit, versus somebody that says, I am not a smoker, right? Because there's a difference in identity. And when there's the difference in identity, that allows a person to tackle difficult situations during the times when they don't feel like doing something, when they're struggling with something, because of how they see themselves. So the big part for me about building a movement is that as a leader, it is so crucial for us to be able to give our audience this new identity, to kind of transform them into this new superhero, right? And the way you can do that is by rolling out swag. You could be awarding them and celebrating their achievements with them. So how I'm personally applying this is to think about what is that identity that I want my audience to step into, and to be able to link the trainings and the coaching calls with that identity that's going to help them move them forward. Okay, so what you want to think about is how much time or focus have you been in building a movement? Because ultimately, if you take a look at all these different products, ClickFunnels included, what makes ClickFunnels, even though it's just a platform or software that builds landing pages, but what has transformed them into $100 million per year company is their ability to build a movement of funnel hackers. And that brings us to number 6. Okay, number 6 would be utilizing what's known as a MIFGI, or the most irresistible free gift ever, and bundling it into offers that gets people into continuity. So the example that's been used here a while back, and this is not necessarily new, it's just a reinforcement of something that I know I should do more of, is Russell said, like, one of the hardest things to sell is live event ticket, and I know that well, and the second hardest thing to sell is continuity. And to get people into continuity, you want to be able to front load an offer with this amazing gift that they can't get anywhere else. So the example that was used is how Sports Illustrated back in the day would sell the recurring subscription by giving out this really cool looking phone to people that sign up for an annual membership. And my biggest takeaway from here is the application of this in getting people to either get a free trial, or getting people into an annual subscription, or getting people into my high ticket. And the question I guess you could be asking yourself is, how can you front load your offers, especially if it's recurring, whether it's recurring for your coaching, recurring for your high ticket, recurring for your software. Front load it with this amazing thing that people can't get anywhere else, where they can only get it at when they sign up for this recurring subscription that you have. So the takeaway that I personally had, that I instantly sent to my team via a voice message, is I said, guys, we have this insane training that we did when the world went on lockdown, where I pretty much interviewed the masters of every platform, thought leaders out there, people that has crushed YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse, webinars, high ticket. And I did these different interviews with all these other people out there, from Alex Hormozi, Russell Brunson, and John Lee Dumas, and pretty much all these guys that has mastered a specific platform. And I said, we're not really doing anything with it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take over 30 plus hours of interviews of thought leaders that has dominated a specific platform, and I'm going to turn that into MIFGI, where the angle and hook is going to be, if I tried to get everybody into this one room, it would have cost easily over $5 million in terms of keynote fees to get them to this one place. But you're going to get all of that for free when you upgrade your offer, right? So that's something for you to think about. Like, can you create, and it doesn't need to be an expensive thing, it just needs to be this thing, this cool thing that they won't be able to get anywhere else. And that brings us to number 7. Number 7 is, I would say I got this from Stu McLaren when he talked about membership sites. And he said, one of the biggest reasons for churn when people are in a membership is overwhelm, where people think in order to have people staying, it's about to give you more value, and more value equals more information, and more information equals more videos. When in fact, that's what causes people to cancel, because they feel like, oh, let me just download all these videos and then I'll cancel, right? So a much better way to keep and retain people is to give them a clear success path when they log in, because it is about mapping out their transformation and to be able to break that down into different stages. So based on where they're at, based on where they want to be, and the different milestones that they need to kind of achieve, and to be able to celebrate these victories with them. And I would say that, like, for me personally, after having done weekly coaching calls for like the last 7 years, my members area is just filled with stuff. So one of the things that I instantly got the team to do straight away is I want to be able to, I told them, hey, look, we're going to put a framework associated to it. We're going to clean it up based on the different topics that we're covering, so that rather than giving access to instantly 300 plus different videos, we want to be able to make it so that there's this clear success path, but if they want to go deeper into a specific subject or topic that was covered before, they can do so, and just ultimately making it cleaner. Number 8 is about AI newsletters. I think Perry Belcher covered this topic, and he talked about how he's creating like 19 different newsletters simultaneously while having 2 full-time people managing all 19 newsletters. And that to me is pretty unbelievable. It's pretty amazing. And he talked about how, you know, different, many of these companies, their exit has been phenomenal, just, you know, building up a recurring newsletter, and how AI is a great tool to kind of build up these niche newsletters because it's highly scalable, and you can also exit it because brands would want to be able to own media. Billionaires and millionaires want to be able to control the narrative, and they want to own media. But I think this is more towards niche marketing. He said, and a good topic to pick for newsletters is basically niches where they can't really advertise using mainstream Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram. So this would be like things like alcohol, I guess, arms, you know, guns, things like that, where you can't really advertise on mainstream media. That is when they're really open to advertising on things like newsletters, and your CPM is going to be significantly higher. Oh man, next one is about utilization of hooks in dramatic demonstrations from Steve Larsen. The amazing thing that Steve Larsen said is, our goal is to spread hooks and to start the conversation not using our offer or even the story, but to start off with the hook. So imagine you're in a relationship market, rather than having like a typical boring, you know, relationshipsecrets.com, right? If you want to be able to have a hook, and what makes the whole hook, the whole reason of hook is to get somebody to say, tell me more. Okay, so imagine he said, you're going to paint the scenario that begins with, you're a powerful woman with queen-like life, but your marriage has grown cold, and you've pushed aside your true feelings about some resentment building, and you've gotten and guilt. You'll do whatever it takes to revive the spark, but you're fearful that something dramatic might be needed to do it. Despite the signs, you want to see if you still have the potential to be lovers or just roommates. Then the site would be areweroommates.com. Now that's very powerful, because it's like, even in the URL, which is a totally fictitious URL, has got a hook built into it. And I think that's something that I've not done enough. There were times in the past where I used the hook in the webinar, or like in the funnel, I did very well, where I said, is this the death of webinars? You know, and then I had a whole thing, like, but for some reason I didn't think about it that way, and I never used it as a framework. But I'll definitely be doing this a lot more often. Running events and using the structure to do the selling for you. Now, obviously, as somebody has done events countless times, easily more than 200 different events in more than 20 plus countries. This was from Barry, and I thought that framework that she used was amazing. And one of the things that she said is, whenever you do an event, the whole event is to map out the gap and to be able to see your audience, to see where they're at and where they want to be. And your offer that you sell the event is the thing that helps them close the gap. So if you do this right, you'll be able to have the structure to do the selling for you. And here's the structure that she said. She said, at the start of the event, you want to be able to set a goal for them. So that's like the future state. Remember, you want to show them the gap. So you want to set a goal, show them the future state. Then you want to be able to identify where they're at, which is the current state. So now you've got the current state and then the future state. And then the whole goal of the event is now to expose the gap, which is like maybe gap number one is, oh, but I don't know what to sell, right? And then you talk them and you walk them through the process. And number two is, oh, but now I know what to sell, but I don't know what's the right funnel to utilize. So you are constantly exposing these gaps, and now they're seeing, oh, I'm over here. There are all these different gaps that is required for me to figure out or apply or implement or train somebody in my team to go do it in order to reach over here. So if we can have our event to think of it as kind of like the gap map and have our offer, whether it's the done for you, the done with you, the training, the mastermind, the coaching, to be able to help them close that gap, that's how we'll be able to have the structure of the event do the selling. Now there's a whole lot more which I could go through, but I want to end it with something that wasn't from any of the speakers. And I would say that I'm probably leaving the best for last, but it's a personal experience where the importance of being in momentum. I would say that, if you know my story, last 12 months has been a tough 12 months for me personally. Seeing the state of my dad and his passing, but and for me, I avoided people, I avoided events, I avoided doing things in general. But I think the power for me being back here is just regaining that momentum, because let's face it, that happens to all of us in life, right? Something happens, we're either going deeper into momentum or falling out of it. And making that conscious decision that allows us to put us back into the momentum, which is typically being with either like-minded people or people that's doing better than us, that kind of forces us to level up, is going to be a lot more powerful than willpower, because environment is more powerful than willpower. That's pretty much, these are the top 10 things I could, there's probably a whole lot more, but off the top of my head, these are the top 10 things. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.